these great Amazons of myth who dare to fight and kill men? Where have they gone?
Based on a true story. Whenever you see that tagline, take it with a grain of salt.
That's for all the Raiders.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 historically inaccurate movies.
Live for what? For what? For what? I have 53 days left. I have 53 days left.
For this list, we're looking at those movies that claim to be based on a true story, but have taken extreme liberties with history, and have produced a borderline fictional film.
Well, Longshanks did far worse the last time he took a Scottish city.
There's no specific time period. Anything in the past is considered historic. Also, we're excluding movies that purposely alter history, such as Inglourious Basterds. And also movies based on myths, as there is no way of knowing if they are actually historic. Number 10. Argo.
What does the title refer to?
The Argo, the thing.
While we're certainly not downplaying Tony Mendez's heroic rescue of U.S. diplomats during the Iran hostage crisis, we are saying that Argo took tremendous liberties with the story for the sake of drama.
What about the 6 who were with the Canadians?
For example, neither the British nor the New Zealand embassy refused to help, and actually played a huge role in sheltering the Americans.
The 6 of them went out a back exit. Brits turned them away, Kiwis turned them away.
But perhaps the most slighted were the Canadians involved in the operation, especially Canadian Ambassador to Iran, Ken Taylor.
Ken Taylor.
Thank you for what you're doing. I was expecting more of a G-man look.
Even President Jimmy Carter admitted that roughly 90% of the plan to get the hostages out of Iran came from the Canadians.
Canada will pay for this violation of the sovereignty of Iran.
While director and star Ben Affleck claims the film has a, quote, spirit of truth, any Canuck alive during the crisis calls bullshit on that.
CIA are the good guys.
The Canadians are the good guys.
Number 9. U-571.
I am U-571. Destroy me.
While the film is exciting enough as a story, as a history lesson, it definitely leaves something to be desired, with even Prime Minister Tony Blair attacking it. The movie follows American troops as they board the German U-571 to capture the famous Enigma cipher machine.
Typewriter.
An Enigma code machine. It allows the German Navy to communicate with its submarines in secret.
Even in that synopsis, there are glaring mistakes, as the U-571 was never actually captured. It was the U-110.
You knew.
Didn't warn me.
Also, Americans had nothing to do with it, since it actually occurred months before the United States even entered the war.
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out.
In real life, it was an entirely British operation, hence Blair's nasty remarks.
Verstehen Sie mich, Herr Vance?
Yes, sir.
Number 8. Anastasia.
Anastasia! Come back! Come back!
This isn't the first time an animated children's film has tampered with history, and it certainly won't be the last.
But lie?
You don't know it's a lie. What if it's true?
Anastasia tells the story of the Grand Duchess of Russia, but in this version, she survived the famous Romanov shooting that saw to the execution of her entire family.
Anastasia? Alive?
Throughout the film, there are countless small errors. For example, people call her Princess Anastasia, although Russians never used that term.
Princess Anastasia!
Please do not repeat.
The real Marie did not escape to Paris, and the movie is actually pushed ahead in time about 10 years.
We've lots and lots to teach you, and the time is going fast.
All right? But the biggest, and perhaps the saddest inaccuracy? Anastasia was brutally shot along with the rest of her kin. Unless you believe the conspiracy theories, that is.
The Princess Anastasia!
Number 7. 300.
Madness. This is Sparta!
Director Zack Snyder went to great lengths to ensure historical accuracy when adapting Frank Miller's graphic novel. However, Even Miller said he'd altered some details to suit his story.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
While King Leonidas and his outnumbered men did heroically block the pass against the massive Persian attack, it was less 300 soldiers and more like 7,000.
Hell of a good start.
And while Spartan soldiers were definitely muscular, they weren't parading around their six-packs, as they would definitely have been wearing armor.
Well, let's give them something to drink!
Xerxes wasn't a vaguely effeminate giant with a baritone voice, and war elephants were never used on the Thermopylae battlefield. There's plenty more, but we're out of time.
They're clumsy beasts.
Number 6. Apocalypto. While we have to give Apocalypto props for using the authentic Yucatec Maya language, its use is actually dangerous because it lends the rest of the movie credibility and might make audiences think it's an accurate depiction of the Maya people, when in fact it's anything but. When a Mayan tribesman is sentenced to be sacrificed, someone should have told him not to worry, because the Mayans rarely performed human sacrifices. That was the Aztecs. And even when they did, it was against elites, not common folk. The film also portrays the Mayans as cruel sadists, which again is more akin to the Aztecs, as the Maya were actually a very peaceful group. Number 5. The Last Samurai.
You see, the Emperor's mad for all things Western, and the samurai believe it's changing too fast. In fact, the ancient and the modern are at war for the soul of Japan.
Inspired by the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, the film stars Tom Cruise as a Civil War veteran who befriends an enemy samurai during the Meiji Restoration.
Nathan Algren, I'd like you to meet Mr. Omura from Japan, and his associate, whose name I've given up trying to pronounce.
First of all, it is extremely doubtful that an old Civil War soldier could become a master samurai in such a short time.
You will need this.
Also, like U-571, the film overglorifies America, as Japan never consulted the U.S. as military advisors.
Sir, the Imperial Army of Japan demands your surrender. If you and your fellows lay down your arms, you will not be harmed.
Finally, the samurai themselves are constantly portrayed as noble men, when in reality, the Meiji reformers were not fighting for unselfish reasons, but to stay at the top of the social caste system. Because of this, the idea of them letting a foreigner into their ranks is extremely unlikely. Number 4. The Patriot.
Captain Martin, I understood you to be a patriot.
Rape, murder, slaves. Doesn't quite sound like content suitable for the protagonist of a story, does it?
We will never know. This is murder!
Unfortunately, one of the men upon whom Mel Gibson's Benjamin Martin is based did exactly all of those things, apparently even hunting Native Americans for sport and raping his female slaves. Yet in this film, he's revered.
Well, yes, I am.
The British are unfairly depicted as cruel, murderous villains of the Revolutionary War, for the sake of drama.
Our line's broke. The British Green Dragoons cut us to bits.
Needless to say, these gross inaccuracies, and the fact that their countrymen were depicted in a similar fashion to Nazis during World War II, made sure British viewers and critics did not give The Patriot favorable reviews.
The honor is found in the end, not the means.
Number 3. Braveheart.
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Mel Gibson just loves changing history, doesn't he? Braveheart tells the mostly historical story of William Wallace leading the Scottish Army in their first war of independence. But the film dramatizes a lot for storytelling purposes. For example, the time period is off. Although it's supposed to take place beginning in the year 1280, the lives of the real-life historical figures featured do not line up.
Many years from now, would you be willing to trade All the days, from this day to that.
This is important because the idea that William Wallace, and not Edward III, fathered Isabella of France's eldest child, has gained traction in popular imagination, even though she would have been 9 years old when Wallace died. Also, as cool as those kilts look on the Scots, they're about 200 years too early. Number 2. Pearl Harbor. While it's an undeniable fact that Japan bombed the United States outpost at Pearl Harbor, that's about all this Michael Bay movie has in common with reality. Aside from relatively small details like out-of-time planes, and the fact that the main characters are entirely fictional, some real historical events were altered for effect.
You are so beautiful, it hurts.
It's your nose that hurts.
I think it's my heart.
To name one such example, Admiral Kimmel was not golfing the morning of the attack, and was not warned of the Japanese embassy leaving Washington prior to the attack.
Admiral, naval